already know that he has speed, he's got power. I know he's moving up in weight class, can he carry it? But those intangibles, I believe that he has them.
Look at it, and then Canelo's older. Crawford has the ability, but he's small, and he can look bigger Crawford could look bigger in the weigh-ins and all that stuff, but it's always a difference. When you get that fight with somebody, you can tell. Same thing with Jamel. Jamel fought him, the twin. He fought Crawford, and in all the stuff, the weigh-ins and the press conference.
Too fast and too smart for Canelo. Even Canelo is a good boy. I'm not saying nothing from not taking nothing from Canelo.
Canelo versus Crawford is being called the biggest fight of the year, and Teddy Atlas has given his honest breakdown. Atlas believes Terence Crawford has what it takes to win regardless of weight class, praising his skills, discipline, and adaptability. He argues that Canelo Alvarez is not the same fighter he once was, claiming the Mexican superstar has lost the hunger and fire that made him great. According to Atlas, Canelo's performances in recent years show decline, and he even calls him overrated compared to Crawford. For Atlas, Crawford's sharpness and drive make him the favorite to win.
The urgency's not there. The fire's not there. At least it wasn't there a week ago. At least I say that. It wasn't there a week ago. Maybe it'll be there now. Maybe he's the kind of guy that, and I get it, that at this point in their career, it has to be a big fight to get up. That Canelo can't get up for these fights. He couldn't get up for that fight. All right. If you want to go down that road, go ahead. But my road is still possible. That he got old, that just doesn't have that fire no more. Oh my God, I'm gonna say this one. That maybe he's a little overrated. I listen, I know he's tremendous. He's tremendous. But could he be a tiny bit overrated? If you look at some of his biggest fights, the fights where you had to be great to win, that you fought great fighters or near great fighters, you can make the argument that he lost the first Triple G. He didn't embarrass himself, but he got a draw. Second one, you can make the argument he lost that. I know it was a different kind of fight, and he got better. But you can make the argument he lost to Lara. He did lose to Mayweather. You can make the argument he was too young in his career. Maybe. Although it wasn't that young. He turned pro when he was 15 or 16.
Mean Machine A fighter who has shared the ring with Terence Crawford strongly believes that size will not determine the outcome of Crawford's clash with Canelo Alvarez. He argues that Crawford's skill set is far superior and that his intelligence inside the ring makes him too smart for Canelo. In his eyes, the difference in weight and natural size is not enough to overcome the gap in ring IQ, adaptability, and timing that Crawford brings to every fight. Mean insists that Crawford is one of the most calculated fighters of his generation, able to adjust mid-fight and dismantle opponents regardless of their physical advantages. He describes Crawford as someone who can control pace, distance, and rhythm, elements that often matter more than sheer size. For him, this matchup favors the fighter with sharper tools. And that is clearly Terence Crawford.
No, it's not good for Crawford. Canelo's too big. Right now, my position changed. I think Crawford is too fast and too smart for Canelo. Even Canelo is a good boy. I'm not saying nothing from not taking nothing from Canelo, but the way when you see oh, he's too big, when you see Usyk fights and what Usyk did to the big guys like Joshua and Fury, so the size that doesn't matter. I think the skill level matters, and Crawford, he gained weight, but I think he's gonna be even faster, and his head works good in the ring. He's boxing IQ is just on top. So I would say 50-50, but right now I'm kind of leaning more to Crawford.
And that's just because of what you saw Usyk do?
It's not I'm just giving an example, size doesn't matter in the boxing. When they say Canelo is big and he's fighting 175, 168, and Crawford just moving from 147, 154. So I'm just putting an example that size doesn't matter, and that the fighter makes the fight. I think it's just that I see that Crawford's training and that he's big too right now. So he gained weight, but not and lots of people gain weight that sloppy weight, I would say fat, but he looked like strong, massively strong. So I think it's gonna be a good one.
How did Terrence feel physically when you faced him? Like, how is his strength? Because yeah, a lot of people do make the point that Canelo's just maybe too big, too powerful for Crawford.
Crawford, I wouldn't say like his punches was like super strong, but his timing and accuracy is what makes difference.
Mean Machine draws a compelling comparison between the upcoming Terrence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez fight and Canelo's 2013 bout against Floyd Mayweather. At that time, Canelo was younger and less seasoned, and Mayweather schooled him with superior speed, defense, and ring generalship. Mean Machine believes that Crawford has the ability to replicate a similar strategy using movement, precision, and smart counterpunching to frustrate Canelo and take away his biggest weapons. However, he acknowledges one crucial difference. Today, Canelo has far more experience than he did back then. Over the years, Canelo has faced and defeated elite opponents, learned to adapt, and developed patience that wasn't present in the Mayweather fight.
They throw hard, but they just throw. And he throws like his calculation for the punches and like timing and aiming to the right spots is just like on another level.
Do you think that's going to be the thing that complicates the fight the most for Canelo?
I think so, yeah. And we can go back a little bit to Mayweather Canelo, and Canelo was young and like Mayweather smart, but it can be like familiar fight like that. Even Canelo right now have more experience, and Crawford is still on his prime. So yeah, we'll see.
From just your experience, you knowing boxing, like how do you think the fight will play out? Do you think it'll be a slow fight? Do you think it'll be tactical? Like, do you think Crawford?
I think it's gonna start a little bit slowly. They're gonna be careful with each other just to kind of like measure each other and see where they at. And that's why they're like champs and they're like great ones. They just don't go like crazy like from the first round.
The Regis Prograve offers a contrasting view. The former world champion dismisses the notion that Crawford's punches will have any effect on a granite-chinned, naturally bigger fighter like Canelo Alvarez. According to Prograve, Canelo has absorbed shots from some of the hardest hitters in boxing. Fighters who are naturally larger than Crawford and have proven nearly unshakable. However, Prograve does not completely count out Crawford. While he questions the impact of Crawford's power, he still acknowledges the Nebraska star's ability to win on skill, strategy, and determination. In his assessment, Crawford's technique is world-class, and his ability to switch stances and execute flawless game plans makes him a dangerous opponent, even for someone as formidable as Canelo.
I think that Crawford has the ability to outbox Canelo. You got to look at it, and that Canelo's older. Crawford has the ability, but he's small, and he can look bigger in. Crawford could look bigger in the weigh-ins and all that stuff, but it's always a difference. When you get that fight with somebody, you can tell. Same thing with Jamel. Jamel fought him, the twin. He fought Crawford, and in all the stuff, the weigh-ins and the press conference, Jamel looked like the bigger man. His head, his neck, everything looked bigger. But when they got in the fight, you can tell. You can see who really was the bigger man. And I think that's the same thing. Crawford is putting on weight, but it's not weight. Like Canelo had the weight already. He doesn't have to put on muscle. He doesn't have to do that. He's already big like that. But I think that Crawford does have the style. He does have the style to beat him. If you look at the people that beat him or gave him troubles, Irislan De Lara, Austin Trout, Floyd, and Bivol, they gave him trouble and stuff like that. And Skull moved around a little bit too. So I think that Crawford has that. But I don't know how Crawford is going to respond when he gets hit. Same thing with Jamel. Jamel was undisputed at 154. And Canelo hit him and shit. Jamel was like, hell no. Jamel took a knee. So it's a big difference. And Crawford had that one fight at 154. And he didn't, Madrimov would touch him up a little bit. And this is nowhere close to Madrimov. You talk about Canelo. Now, if it was just another bigger guy, I would go with Crawford. But you talk about a great, this might be, people might kill me for it, but well, not really, but this might be the best Mexican fighter ever. One of them, at least, right?
Jose Vargas Jr., who has sparred with Terrence Crawford, echoes Progress' skepticism. Vargas openly states that he does not believe Crawford can hurt Canelo, having felt Crawford punches himself in sparring. He admits Crawford is sharp and precise, but not necessarily heavy-handed enough to seriously trouble someone of Canelo's size and durability. Vargas points out that Alvarez has faced and survived the power of much larger fighters, which raises questions about whether Crawford can generate the same kind of danger. That said, Vargas doesn't dismiss Crawford entirely. He recognizes that power isn't everything. Timing, accuracy, and consistency can break down even the toughest fighters. But in his view, Crawford's shots may not carry enough weight to prevent Canelo from pressing forward with relentless pressure.
Gonna be done in camp.
You know, all we're doing is putting the final touches. I mean, I've been sparring Ron Ellis. I mean, this guy is a dog, bro. He's been getting me ready. I mean, he's been Canelo's sparring partner. Shout out to my guy Ron, man. He comes, tries to knock me out every single sparring. This guy fights at 68. Big dude, goes southpaw, and hits hard. So I know he fought Benavidez. So you know, he's a veteran, and he's doing veteran tactics in there where he's not letting me rest in the clinch. He's making me work every second of every round. And I got something for Callum. I got something for the whole boxing world. And, you know, I feel you're just as good as your preparation. And we've been doing the road work. We've been doing the mountain work. I've been recovering hard. I've been getting my rest. You know, I haven't been drinking no dark sodas, bro. I'm feeling like Tyson Fury right now, bro. Like,
Mickey Bay takes a more controversial stance, accusing Canelo Alvarez of cherry-picking in accepting the fight with Terence Crawford. Bay argues that Alvarez has often been selective with opponents, waiting for the right timing or size advantage. In this case, Bay believes Canelo saw Crawford as a smaller fighter moving up in weight, making the matchup favorable for him physically. Critics within boxing circles have echoed this view, suggesting that Alvarez is using his size and strength to gain an edge over a naturally lighter man. Bay highlights how this narrative has caused backlash, with fans and analysts debating whether the matchup is fair. Despite the criticism, Bay acknowledges that Crawford is too good to be written off. Even if Canelo enters as the bigger man, Crawford's intelligence and adaptability could still flip the script.
That size comparison type of a thing to make it seem like it's not a type of cherry pick that he has to go up into this battle.
So he a lot bigger. See, people looking at height. Height don't got nothing to do with weight and where you've been fighting at. Like, Terrence put his weight on, so it's a difference. No, Canelo's a lot bigger, like, hands down. Like, just mass, as far as mass. He naturally that thick. You know, he got to come down. Terrence, just because your weight is up there, that don't mean that's like putting a dude, Benavidez, a heavyweight. He might walk around at 205 or whatever. That don't mean he a heavyweight though. So Canelo was by far the bigger man. We didn't seen him hit dudes 6'3", 6'2" in the arm and hurt him. Like, he didn't hurt Kovalev, light heavyweight. So I mean, didn't he have a light heavyweight title?
Well, when he fought Kovalev?
Just period at light heavyweight. Didn't Canelo win the light? Did he?
Nah, he just Kovalev. That's it.
Oh, okay. Well, he might have only fought there a couple times, but the fact that he fought up there though, and he fought way up at light heavyweight, but he been at super middleweight for a minute, so he the bigger guy for sure. So really, he got to hurt Crawford, or he got to get his major respect. He got to get his major respect to make Crawford feel like he got to survive. If he can't that, then he probably ain't gonna win.
Do you feel like you was talking about Crawford? He needs to poke his way out of this fight, right? We've seen that. You know, Crawford's been lined up by lots of fighters. Not Errol Spence, of course, but other fighters that was able to line up with shots that don't necessarily hit like a Canelo. Now, Canelo gonna line you up regardless, right?
Tom Lafleur offers a different perspective, focusing not on fairness, but on the sheer spectacle of Canelo versus Crawford. As a promoter, Lafleur sees this fight as one of the most marketable matchups in modern boxing. He emphasizes that Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford are two of the sport's biggest names, each carrying loyal global fan bases that span across cultures, nations, and demographics. Lafleur explains that fights of this magnitude transcend the ring. They capture mainstream attention and draw in casual audiences who might not otherwise watch boxing.
Actually being in the ring on such a high-profile show, it's huge. It doesn't get any bigger than that. And you know, you got to give credit to both guys. They're both very confident. They both have very passionate fan bases. You know, Callum, you know, having fought in Dublin, packed the arena out there, the 3 Arena, having fought at Madison Square Garden 3 times, fought in Boston, and then Fernando Jr., from one of the biggest boxing named families, in the history of boxing. He's going to bring out a huge fan base. So it's a really exciting addition to, such a big show that it like I said, doesn't get any bigger than that for sure.
I agree. I think that you, along with me, have seen some of these criticisms of the undercard. But really, when you look at it, I mean, we both know Callum Walsh so well. The personality and the authenticity that he brings to this sport is just so sincere. He's so real. Being from Ireland, coming overseas to train and dedicate his life to this craft, and his personality is so magnetic that it obviously brought someone like Dana White to be a huge supporter of him. I think in these weeks leading up to the fight, the fighting public who does not know Callum Walsh is really going to fall in love with him, especially, by fight night.
Saudi boxing power broker Turki Al-Sheikh has been credited as the man who pushed to make Canelo versus Crawford a reality. Analysts argue that while Al-Sheikh's influence and financial backing have made dream fights possible, not all of them are necessarily the right matchups. In this case, critics highlight the vast difference in natural size, suggesting that Crawford might be at a serious disadvantage from the start. The fight, they argue, was made because of demand and spectacle rather than pure competitiveness. Still, Al-Sheikh's role cannot be ignored. Without him, this fight likely wouldn't exist. His ability to bring together 2 of boxing's most valuable stars speaks to his power in shaping the modern landscape of the sport. Whether or not it is the right fight, his vision ensures that fans around the world get to witness a once-in-a-generation event.
And Benavidez Jr., Canelo, would have mopped up all of these dudes, bro. Would have mopped up all of these dudes. Like, when we're coming out and saying that this is a complete mismatch, and this is a joke, and this is a fantasy fight, you know what I'm saying, that Turki Al-Sheikh dreamed of, and we know he's a big Crawford fan, knowing, the level of star power that Canelo Alvarez has, and he had the bag to make this fight happen. It doesn't mean that it's a logical fight for boxing, bro. At the end of the day, man, you guys tell me if Terence Crawford would have beat Triple G. Tell me if he would have beat Billy Joe Saunders. Tell me if he could beat Bivol, even though, Canelo didn't beat Bivol, but tell me if he could have beat a Sergey Kovalev. And the other loss Canelo has to Mayweather, man. Crawford, nobody in the world I felt could have beat Mayweather in the height of his career, bro. Tell me if Crawford, bro, would have just flat out went in there and beat a guy like Miguel Cotto, Daniel Jacobs. You know what I'm saying, bro? Like, it's the level of competition that Canelo faced, man. And these dudes that he went in there to beat. Terence Crawford is nowhere, has fought nowhere near the level of competition that Canelo Alvarez has fought. And I've had some comments talking about, you talk about we're going off of our emotions and you're going off of your emotions. You're not giving no facts, bro. Like, this is all facts right here, bro. The fact of the matter is, bro, Canelo Alvarez has fought at light heavyweight. The fact of the matter is, Terence Crawford has only fought once at 154 pounds. And the fact of the matter is, he was getting touched up by those right hands all night, bro. By Majumov. That's the fact, bro. The biggest, most dominating fight he ever had was against Errol Spence.
Trainer Dave Coldwell has long admired Terence Crawford's versatility, and he believes those qualities will be vital against Canelo Alvarez. Crawford's ability to fight comfortably from both orthodox and southpaw stances gives him an edge few fighters possess. Coldwell points out that Crawford uses this skill to create angles, disrupt rhythm, and keep opponents guessing. Equally important, he stresses Crawford's footwork, which allows him to glide in and out of range and avoid being cornered. Against Canelo, who thrives on cutting off the ring and applying pressure, this mobility could be the deciding factor. Coldwell explains that if Crawford can maintain distance, use lateral movement, and prevent Canelo from trapping him on the ropes, he has every chance to win rounds and possibly the fight. For Coldwell, it isn't about power. It's about discipline, ring IQ, and movement.
From when the fight got made, I've always fancied Crawford. I just think it's different. I think there's something about him. I think if you add what Crawford's good at, his brain, he can switch, he's very good as a southpaw. His judgment of distance is fantastic. His punch picking is fantastic. His got good legs. When you add what, and he can pop. I mean, listen, I'm not saying he's got the power to hurt Canelo, but he might have the power to surprise Canelo a little bit and just sting him and just. But when you look at what Crawford does well, and then I look at this version of Canelo, as Canelo's got on, his punch rate's gone down.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned. Until next.